Hello, in today's tutorial I want to do something a little bit different. It'll be more design oriented and we'll be delving into procedural color generations or randomized color generation, and we'll be using the composite node to generate a variety of views in a single click. I think this will help more with designers than animation, so you're in luck. I'll try and refer things to Photoshop just to try and bridge it a bit more for those who are really new to Blender. And I just want to show you techniques that can really help you. Alright, so we're going to be using ViewLayers and we're going to be using the composite node. What I have here is a little bit of a simple gun that I modeled, and we have 3 separate collections. They're all hidden now, but I'll show you what each of them do in a small step-by-step. Okay, so let's just say, let's create a new scene. You don't have to do this. I'll just clear this all out and just use simple cubes so we can understand what's happening. So we can do a completely new scene here, but don't worry. You can see there's a gun here. My gun stuff is here. So a new scene here, there's nothing in here. So let's create a cube. And there is no lighting as well. That's completely fine. Let's go to, let's use this, and we'll just summon this here. Okay, so we have a scene here, and let's color this a new material, and let's just say cube. Okay, so we have a cube here. We're gonna go to the shader editor here, and as you can see, we can change the color. Fantastic. What happens, as a designer, you want to have a variety of color options and you just sometimes want to react to it. Well, that's how I work, where I want to set a palette on a concept and group them up in terms of layerings. So you can see in this concept I've done here, there's orange, white, his head is orange here, and if I could just hue shift all of this stuff really fast. And I kind of like working that way because I want to react to it as opposed to really thinking about things. Sometimes you'll get really interesting color combinations that you didn't really think of. But if you still wanted to be living in the same world, you'll have a defined palette. And that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I'm going to show you. So we're going to use 2 nodes. One of them is going to be called Object Info. The next one's going to be called the Color Ramp. So we're going to connect the random to the factor. And that's basically just saying pick from these things here. Now we can click the drop down arrow, and here's the eyedropper tool. Or you can just hit E while hovering over this, and look what happens when I click and drag. You can see there's a bunch of colors happening here. There's also a little bit of a problem where they're kind of fading in and out, which I really don't like. So we can click on linear, go to constant, and that looks much better. We can also click on this and distribute stops evenly. There's also something called distribute stops from the left, but I like using evenly. You can also flip it around if you want different variations. Alright, so now look what happens when we plug with Object Info, random to factor. It's going to choose one of these things here. I'm going to drag this into color, and as you can see, it's chosen a random color. Now, if I duplicate this a bunch of times, you can see it's randomizing between all those different colors here. Now there's a lot of variations, and that'll take a while to go through. Oh, so let's just have one left here. Alright, and that's how I basically set things up. Now this doesn't work, and let's say if you have something that looks like this. I'm just going to create a random shape. Okay, so let's say if you want to distribute these colors, and look what happens when I duplicate everything. It's still kind of working slightly, but if we want, let's say, the body, like this, this, and this, to all be one color, we'll have to group them up because it's taking the object info. So these are 2 separate objects. So we'll group these guys up. Control J. Now you can see it's one solid color. So if I now duplicate it, it'll be a solid color. So that's something to keep in mind when you're trying to group things up. Okay, so another thing I did on my previous one is I created view layers. Now those are handy if you want to use a compositing node to render a bunch of stuff in one go, as opposed to like rendering it, waiting for one image to finish, and rendering the next one. And we can set it up. It's not too bad. We'll just have to put things into collections. So we'll just hit M, new collection, and let's just call this box 01. Alright, so this is in box 01. Let's just have, let's say 3. So we'll duplicate this, and we'll duplicate this. Now you can see they're all different colors. That's basically because we used our procedural or color random picker. Okay, and let's also add a camera in the scene. Camera, and let's just move this like this over here. It's gonna change something quickly here. There we go. Okay, so we have the camera set, and we have all our boxes ready. Now, how does the compositing in ViewLayer work? Well, we're going to have to go into the compositing window, which we can click here, and hit compositor. Since this is a tutorial, I'm just going to make this a little bit larger. Excuse me. And there we go. We're going to hit use nodes. And now you can see we have our render layers and view layer, which is in reference to this. Let's split these up based on the boxes here. So we'll call this just box 01, and we have to use these little things exclude from view layer. So when we render this out, it's not going to render these two things. Great. Now how do we do the other two? Well, we can click on this, and we can either do blank or copy settings. We can just do blank for now. Do this one, and we can do this box 2, and let's repeat this again. Blank, box 3. Now we can access this through our render layers. So if we duplicate this 3 times, box 01, box 02, box 03. Don't need this right now. And watch as the magic happens when we render image from scene. Oh, we have to have a compositor. That is my bad. Plug this in here. Render image. Now, it'll take a while to update, but if I just put a viewer here, you can see we have 3 different images with one click of a button. We can also have it transparent if you don't know how to do that. Let's say if you want to put this on top of a background. Since the black's here, we can just go into the render settings. I think, where are you? Yes, right? Okay, so into the render properties, film, transparent. And if we re-render these out, render image, they should be transparent now. Right here. So how do we save these images out? Well, we can add something called a file output, not a filter, file output, and we can just plug these in here. We can go drop down the properties, 0 compression, and add this out. Box 01, box 02, and box 03. So we'll plug these in like this. And this can be rendered to the base layer. So if I do this, this is a nice little hack where if you do // that's going to render to the local, and we can go say box demo, then we'll write the other slash, which is now denoting what the file name is going to be. Let me just zoom in so you can see that. And we can call this box /. So now, if we render this out, let's take a look. Render image. And if we click on this, you can see it's in this own folder box. We have all our boxes here. Wonderful. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Now, if you want to have, let's say, a rotation, you can actually animate the camera itself and have it rotate around. So if we add, let's say, a null object, an empty circle, make this a bit wider and parent this. Object. Oops. Oh, I don't know why my thing is acting a little funny. Okay, so now let's just say 5 steps, and then we'll click this, R, and then when we reach here, we'll do a 360-degree loop. So it's just going to do that. And now if we render this out, render animation, if we open this up, go to box, you can see we have all our separate views. That's just a boiled down basis of it. I wanted to show you with a basic concept like this. Initially I wanted to do it more with the gun concept I have here, which will look a bit more prettier, but I need to explain some of the more complex objects that we have. So pretty much the same thing as you can see here, gun 01, gun 02, gun 03, and it really works well once you like group up all the objects, because sometimes it just generates really cool color schemes. So watch this, I'll just duplicate another one, that's a different gun, and I think it's a wonderful tool. Let's do another one, so many variations. And this is our first gun concept here, so we'll do the same thing. Let's just do 2, and let's actually, we don't need all these other guns here. Side 02, that's another thing to keep note. As soon as you generate or duplicate collections, it's gonna go into your other view layers because it's a new thing, so we just have to exclude those. Just something to keep in mind. There we go. I also have something called 3/4. Ah yes, I want to do like some other angles, but it seems like the way I've set up the shader is if I create a new scene just for a different camera angle, it doesn't seem to work. But we can do some cool things where we can switch the camera to generate the things we need. So the way I was going to do that is, let's just delete this and I'll show you quickly. So let's say we're doing 3/4. 1. We'll do copy settings. This one here. 2. And let's go. Got ahead of myself. Copy settings 3, and this is with this new camera here, like this. And let's just say for the final one, I know in some concepts you kind of want like the overhead of what the weapon's going to look like, so this kind of looks cool like this. So we'll create a camera here, and we will get this out of, is that the same? Oh, different camera. Okay, we will get this one out of perspective. Why is that acting? Oh no, I think I shifted our camera. This is a hilarious big gun. So it looks like probably like this on screen. Oh man, that's like taking so much screen space. There we go. Like that. And then, yo, what's the FOV? 90. Let's see. There we go. Okay. And this will be for the next one. So we have 3/4, 1, 2, and 3. This will be for the next camera. We'll call this FOV, and then this one's 3/4. Okay, so let's go back here, and we're gonna use markers to mark when we want to switch the cameras. So let's just make sure everything looks good here. Side of 1, side of 2, side of 3, 3/4 of 1, 2, 3, and then we will just switch cameras. Yes. For each one. Yes. Okay. So I'm just thinking out loud here. This should work with 3/4. Maybe I generated a little too much here. Okay, anyway, well, you learn a lot. Let's get so 10 frames. Let's go back to side 01. I'm going to click on this. This is the camera. We can do the same thing we did with the boxes. Let's make sure that our origin is at the center. Shift A, empty. Empty, here we are. Circle, and let's just generate the circle like this, like that. For some reason, my hotkeys aren't. Keep transform. Oh. Click parent. Why isn't this? Okay, fantastic. R, and let's say 5 frames, 360. Let's take a look at this. Boop, boop. Oh, I kind of want a front view. So, let's see if we can get one. Linear. Interesting. Maybe we'll do 10. That's what I like. Okay. So then we will have 12, because as soon as it reaches here, we're going to switch cameras. So this one, we're going to mark it as this one will be our side camera. Once it hits 10, it's going to switch to this camera here. Since that's selected, let's switch to that one, which is our 3/4. 1, which looks like this. I'm just going to delete that object here, and let's zoom out. I think we should just make it into a beauty shot, like perspective beauty shot, like that. And then 11, we're going to switch it to our FOV, like that. And 12 is going to do 11. So we're going to have our side camera. What is that? Oh yes, it's side camera. Okay. So now if we go into our compositing, hello? Hello? Okay. I seem to have lost. Huh. Alright, let's go render layers. Let's plug this right in here, and we will need to do this 3 times. And then we're going to go into file output, and we're going to do / guns backward slash, and we're going to call this, what do we call this? Side. And we will plug this all in. So we're going to have this one as gun 01, new, gun 02, new, gun 03, good, gun. And let's plug this all in here. So side 01, side 02, side 03. Copy these again, And we can actually use this to create something else now. Let's do 3/4, 3Q. Whoops. 3Q. Oh, that's EQ, 3Q. So let's go into boom, image, 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 boom, boom, boom. Duplicate this. This is going to be 301, 302, 303. I have a feeling that I actually don't need to do this. Alright, let's see what happens. Render animation. As you can see, everything's just doing the sides here. I wonder what happens when it hits these two. I think we just need markers to denote different camera angles. But hopefully, like, I know this might be a long-winded way of showing things. I just wanted to show this really interesting process. It's the first time I thought of it. This is the first iteration, and I just wanted to put it out there. Oh yeah, it definitely worked that way. Okay, so it looks like you do need to have camera markers. Fantastic, that's good to know. So let's see what happens when I open this up. 3Q. I think I did it twice. Yes, we only need one. But there you go. If you wanted to generate a bunch of concepts and you want to do like showcasing different areas and like rotations, I think this is a wonderful way of doing it. Alright, thank you.